Why are y'all voting for Kamala Harris?
I don't want to lose my rights. Like, I'm a trans man and I'm gay and I have been pregnant and I've had an abortion before and I don't want to lose that. I'm afraid of not being able to be.
So that's interesting. I am not 100% sure what they're speaking on when they say lose their rights. I am not aware of anything that the Republicans or Trump, for better example, is trying to pass that would ever take away rights for someone like this. I think that they will even say going forward that they aren't fully aware on what they're speaking on. So I just wanted to mention that. I think that that is something that they might be misled on, and it is scary to see sometimes when people aren't getting their information from all over the place. I think that it is very wise to even get your information from both sides, obviously, because both sides are lying. But so get it from the middle. But let's get into it.
Myself anymore because from what I've heard, Trump's America doesn't want me to look like this. So
From what
that's
she
why
said.
I'm here today and that's why I'm voting blue.
What about you?
I've also been pregnant and had an abortion before. I was a minor, and it would have been dangerous for me to properly, like, it would have been dangerous for me to carry a baby with, like, personal reasons and everything.
So that's interesting. The reasoning for her being blue, she says, is because she formerly was pregnant and it was when she was a minor. So, I mean, at that age, it's definitely a little bit harder to take care of a baby. It's very difficult. I can imagine that getting an abortion at that age is something that a lot of people are probably going to see as a better option, but I am not, I don't know, I can definitely see how that could sway a decision for a female, so I can't really speak on that, I guess.
I also, like, I'm very, alternative, and I feel like if Trump were to win, I wouldn't be able to, like, express myself through my looks and everything, and wouldn't be able to have the piercings or the dyed hair or the tattoos that I want. I would be able to be myself, and my dad's very pro-Trump, and I'm just very
Pro Kamala.
pro-Kamala. Yeah, I don't.
The issue in this part that I have is not with this this girl. I have no issue with her at all. I am very displeased by the performance of this person she's with. I'm not sure how I should identify that person, but I'm just gonna say this person because, as you can see, they keep attempting to speak for her, and I think that that is something that is exactly what they're trying to go against. And you can kind of see in her face right now, she has this look of confusion, and the other one's super happy. It's like it's like a power play. It's a very weird power play that I'm noticing, and hey, I guess that's relationships. I shouldn't even speak on that too much, but what I'm seeing there is she's kind of being persuaded into picking and choosing, and that's like why you even hear them saying if they heard Trump say this or that, they probably would go that way. They didn't say that exactly, but they basically said from what they know. If someone keeps saying from what I know, and they can't fully give evidence or proof behind the reasoning why they say this, usually that's them taking the opinion of someone else and running with it, trying to form their own reasoning why they believe this person or something along those lines. It's definitely not a opinion they've actually been able to form themselves, where I think in a time like this it's very crucial to be able to actually find your own opinions, because later in this you'll see there is a lot of weird situations now where it's very, very, very obvious that the news and all of these different things are very much trying to manipulate. So we'll get into that. Let's just finish this part.
No, it's
Does
just
that cause a divide at all?
yeah, it definitely does. He thinks that Kamala's going to ruin the country, but I think that Trump would do worse, like a lot. Like Kamala is going to be good for the country.
They say that Kamala is going to do good for the country and Trump is going to do bad, or vice versa, where people are saying that Kamala is going to do terrible for the country. The way people say that's going to happen, people say that Kamala is going to be someone that's easily persuaded into war. She's going to be easily persuaded into trying to get us into wars so that these big organizations can make a lot of money. Do I think that's possible? Obviously, I think that's very much possible. I think that it's all smoke and mirrors when it comes to politics. Everyone is a very good actor, and that's why we even see someone like Trump do so well, is because he's such a good actor. He's someone who knows how to play the character, and he knows how to use people's attention and people's hopes and dreams to his favor. It's very interesting. He is a very, very smart, strategic man. But Kamala seems to be someone who is very strategic and very interesting as well. I can't act like she's some bad person because I shouldn't speak on that. I don't really know. I very much just came to even know who she really is recently, because even though she has been the vice president, for some reason I've always just kind of overlooked her and kind of always been focused on Joe Biden, which is something that I should never have done. I should never have put too much attention into one character. I think that it's the same thing as like casting anyone as being like this person who's like not good. Obviously, I think Joe Biden is very similar to Trump in a lot of ways, and I think all of these politicians are very similar. So let's get into another clip.
Why are you voting for Kamala Harris?
Because she is the woman that we need right now.
Is there any specific policies or anything that really makes you vote for her?
I just believe in her. I believed in her when I lived in California, and I still believe in her now.
Because she's all about the middle class. She's like us, and Trump is bad. That's just...
Trump's bad.
Trump's bad. She's what we need. She's what we need. Let's play that back real quick, just so I can show what I'm saying.
And Trump is bad. That's just...
Trump's bad.
She's everything.
Trump's bad.
So, I don't know. I don't want to read too much into different things, even though I'm going to still speak on this. I think that sometimes when people don't fully believe what they're saying, they'll be like, no, I don't really believe this. But she also could be emphasizing how bad she thinks he is. But I don't know. I think that this is definitely something that is tricky, because what are people thinking either of these puppets are gonna do differently than what is being done right now? I think that I don't know. Trump is definitely someone we've seen somewhat be able to actually bring a lot of financial success to the country. We don't see that right now. And they're saying he's bad. In what way? In what... Why? How? Obviously, he's definitely someone who's very rude to people who kind of need to be spoken to in that way. There's a lot of soft people in America right now, and sometimes I feel like everyone can be that way. I feel like even myself lately, I feel like the more I use this thing, is the softer I get. It's just like I let shit get to me, and it's just like it's something I feel like all of these different people have. As you've seen in the beginning of that clip, the lady's wearing the ears, the cat lady ears, and they're making a mockery of themselves. It's this weird fantasy land of people trying to dress up as these different characters, trying to prove people wrong, people trying to like highlight their own insecurities to the point where they're like, oh, I'm invincible, I'm this glorious thing that can't have any judgment cast upon me, but I can throw all stones against anyone who dares to look at me in any funny way while I wear these weird ears and dress up crazy while I'm 40, 60, however old that lady was. It's amazing. It is amazing. It is amazing that people are putting themselves out there to be shamed like this and then are sad about being shamed. It's like, I understand me making these videos, it's going to lead to people commenting all types of things. Some of the things I'm not going to want to read. Probably not going to have to read any of it if I don't want to. So, in the bigger picture, I think that it is just amazing to see some of these people just going all in on trying to separate at all costs. I think that I have respect for those types of people in a lot of ways, in a lot of different ways. I bet those people love animals. I bet they're good people who actually do really care for those cats. They're probably nice people. And it's just like, it's just a stubborn, childish way of going about it. I think if you really are trying to defeat someone that they think is this bully that they're trying to make Trump out to be, doing this type of behavior is not really going to be the answer. I think it's very childish and just not necessarily something that's ever going to play out in a way that it's going to ever help either side. I think both sides are going to lose in the end of this, so it's sad to see. Very sad to see. It's almost making me be at a loss of words, and I feel like I am pretty good at putting my words together, which is not something you see with a lot of these older people nowadays.
Imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know?
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
Who we can be, unburdened by who we have been.
She's everything we're looking for. She is. She's just everything we're looking for. She's looking for peace and love and sharing and cooperation and healthcare and food for kids. You know, what a crazy idea. We love her. Yeah. She's amazing. We need
Food for kids. Alright. So let's get to the basics. Who isn't trying to make sure that people are able to eat and take care of their family? I think that the person who's actually trying to financially better America is Trump, which is not the best thing to say, because obviously there's a lot of other people who probably could be a better president. There's a list of different people. Like, I can make a list right here if you want. Obviously, there's so many different people, and at the end of the day, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why people would ever even throw this out there, like acting like he's not for the kids, he's not for all these different things. Like, that's just a terrible argument. But I shouldn't act like this this person should even have a good argument. They're not in a position to be really given their opinion. So it's very interesting to hear these style of people's take on it, because it's obviously not very well thought through, and it's unfortunate because they are people who are actually in a position of power that they might not even understand. These are the people who are supposed to be guiding the youth, and it's sad to see them taking such a mediocre level of really thinking it through. Like, I hate to say it like that, but I feel like that's true.
Her. This country needs her. And Tim Walz.
The cat ladies for Kamala. So can you kind of explain that to me?
Well, I think you got it right there. You know, I don't need to go any further than that.
Are you a cat lady for Kamala?
I am a cat lady for Kamala, obviously.
Because I saw you in line earlier with this childless cat.
Doesn't even need to be explained. He cast the stone. He said that we're bad. He said that we are weird, that we need to have this life experience that might be able to awaken us to actually seeing that there is value in something greater than destroying everything around us. He's bad. He's terrible. He definitely said it in a way that shouldn't be easily taken by someone like her, which I understand. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. At the end of the day, that is true, but it's also something that is true if you're really sensitive and you're really whatever. But I know a lot of people are sensitive, so that's one thing I really like about someone like a Vivek Ramaswamy. I definitely said his name wrong right there, but he's very good at phrasing things and just dressing stuff up in a way that people can digest very well. I think that he is someone who can make even like the TikTok style person who wants
everything fast paced, everything fast, a quick laugh, quick laugh, quick laugh, quick laugh.
Those types of people are good at probably listening to someone like a Vivek. He's just so interesting. So I think that's something, that's an appeal that comes to someone like him. But obviously, I don't know. He's probably just a financial guy as well, which is interesting. I think that there is no real patriots in the running, and that's something that scares me. That's something that really scares me about the future of America. But as you can see, people aren't thinking it through. They don't. Why would they think it through? We're the cat ladies. We have to. We have to band together and protect our legacy.
Cat lady is voting Kamala. Can you explain the reasoning behind this shirt?
Because I don't have kids. We tried to have kids. We waited too long. We were enjoying our, life. And just because you don't have kids doesn't mean you're a bad person. And she cares about everybody, not just people who don't have kids. What happens if I couldn't have a child? What happens if I had medical problems? That's not right. You don't talk down to people because they don't have kids. Doesn't mean they're bad. And these guys, are all about it. Us, everybody, not just the 1%.
I understand. Emotions run high, and people make decisions when they're emotional. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to cast stones. I'm not going to be the emotional one. I'm not going to say that this person is incorrect or wrong for having these feelings. There are feelings, though. So let's move past that. So I think this one is very interesting. I think that this one, obviously, this first person is very intimidated by the camera. I'm not someone who's in love with being in front of the camera, even though I think everyone kind of seeks attention in some sort of way. I think that we all are some sort of attention whore in some sort of way. I think that's just how life is. I think that some way somehow people are trying to get what they didn't get when they were younger. So they are seeking out either some sort of revenge or some sort of quest to achieve these things that they weren't able to when they were young. And sometimes people get lost in that fantasy. And I think that's anyone that makes videos online. I think that's anyone that is living in today's society almost. But there are some still blue collar people who are just straight to the books, straight to work. It's amazing to see some of those people. It's weird being around them sometimes at work. It's like I'm an alien or something, but I can see how some of these people feel outcasted. They feel as if everyone will go back to outcasting them even worse once things change a bit. But will it even change? I don't think so. I think that we have evolved into a society who isn't really caring of when people dress in whatever way they want to. I know there's gonna be some bad eggs out there who want to say like, oh, this person doesn't look to my tasting. You know what I mean? Like, I could say it in a way worse way, but there's so many people out there that are gonna find all types of ways to make fun of you and whatever. Who cares at the end of the day? I think that you're gonna find your crowd. So it is cool that some of these people were able to find a crowd. It just really rubs me the wrong way when I keep seeing a lot of these people being overpowered and almost hoaxed into different scenarios where I see some people speaking for other people and all of these different weird power plays. So let's just run the camera. Let's roll this.
Why are y'all voting for Kamala Harris?
It's ridiculous how anymore it's really hard for people like us, like queer people, and just anyone else in that general umbrella. Thank you. General umbrella. It's just really hard for us to get rights, and with how the Republicans are handling everything, it's just putting more and more stress on us, like basically taking away everything we have. And it's just important that we feel safe just even living here, because everyone's been wanting to like leave the country, and this is like the only chance we have to properly fix everything.
She almost seems like she's gonna have a breakdown. I did mention before that some people aren't best on camera. Totally understandable. I don't think everyone should ever put themselves in a position where they don't feel comfortable. With that said, is she totally breaking down because of that, or is she kind of stumbling upon what she's saying? I don't know. It could be either or, so I'm not gonna really go into that. I'm not gonna really pick at those things. I just don't think that's really worth it. What I will say is they keep saying things that doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think that one thing I think is really interesting is the 2025 thing that's coming about. Is this real? Is it real? Maybe. I guess we could speak upon that after we play this clip, because I have one thing that I really wanted to point out that I think is very interesting, and at the very end of this, I actually have something that I wanted to speak on that I think is going to surprise a lot of people, so we'll get into that at the end, but let's run the rest of this clip.
What about you?
I would definitely say that I want to keep my...
Hold on, I just noticed I said a whole lot of nothing too as well, so I shouldn't throw any stones.
Rights, I really do. As a queer individual and someone who's physically disabled, and may not like be able to do certain things, I feel like they probably wouldn't have accommodations for someone like me, especially given that I like women as a woman. I want to keep.
So she said she thinks, she assumes. I feel like that's like the whole thing that everyone's very mad about right now is people assuming things, and people probably shouldn't be assuming that their rights are going to be taken away and all this crazy, just outrageous way. It just doesn't make a lot of sense what they're saying right here, which leads me to like really wonder where they're getting this information from. Like, who said that they're going to take away all of these different rights? I don't know. I want to read up on that more. I would love to hear about that, because that almost appears the other way. It seems like if we keep going in this direction that we're going in this way, where, as you can see, there's a lot we can get into when it comes to that. We're being spied on, we're being completely surveilled in a way that is not what being a free country even makes sense to have. It just, we're in a very weird position, to say the least. And obviously it's amazing to see these very young people saying that they're going to get all of their rights taken away if they go with Trump. It just, it's kind of sad. But as you can probably hear, I need to do more research as well, so I don't even know what they're referring to when they say that. Why would their rights be taken away? I don't know. Only the abortion thing is one situation that kind of rings a bell, that a lot of people are very upset about. And if it's two females, how is there going to be an abortion in this equation? I'm stunned.
Access to my bank accounts. I would like to keep making money. I don't want to be some man's object. I really don't. It's the whole thing with Project 2025 is terrifying. I read through some of it and it was just insane. It's bad.
I'm not sure what's up with the so my understanding of the 2025, I thought this was the perfect segue into the 2025 thing. From my understanding, it's going against a lot of the different government officials who supposedly are involved with corruption or some scandals. We can play a clip now that is someone who supposedly is non-biased speaking about it, where they kind of describe it a little bit better than I'm going to be able to do it.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. It's War, Peace, and the Presidency. I'm Amy Goodman. We look now at the far-right policy plan to overhaul the federal government known as Project 2025. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's trying to downplay his connection to the plan, and last week Kevin Roberts, head of the influential right-wing Heritage Foundation, postponed the release of his Project 2025 book until after the November election. The book's foreword is written by Trump's vice presidential running mate, J.D. Vance. Trump's campaign insists it has no connection to the right-wing blueprint for immigration, almost 1,000 pages long, a blueprint for immigration, reproductive rights, climate policy, and more. But many of the key figures working for Project 2025 are former top Trump administration officials. Some of them featured in newly released videos that were created for Project 2025's Presidential Administration Academy. In a major new development, the independent news outlets ProPublica and Documented have now published dozens of these videos, some of which will feature today. In this clip, Trump's former deputy chief of staff at USAID, the USA.
So what I'm hearing is they have a plan to... It seems similar to the Argentina move. Let's play something from the Argentina move. Or what am I saying when I say Argentina move? So in Argentina, there was this very attention-grabbing man. I think his name is Javier. I forget what his last name is. Very interesting guy. Even his looks are very interesting. He's someone who's very attention grabbing, and he was able to get whatever leadership position you are able to get in Argentina, and he completely got rid of a lot of the different people who were controlling the corruption in Argentina, which is something that appears to be the plan for the 2025. It's seeming to be spun in a direction of sounding like it's going to be this complete surge of them doing, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me yet, so let's keep playing this. I want to hear what her take is on this, because it seems like she is on the Democratic side, but with that said, I want to hear this type of spin on it.
Agency for International Development, Bethany Kozma, discusses climate change.
Climate change, allegedly, is everywhere. And if the American people elect a conservative president, his administration will have to eradicate climate change references from absolutely everywhere. And according to our intelligence community, the #1 threat facing our country today is, drumroll, climate change. Not Russia, not China, not AI, climate change. This shows how the federal government is all in on this issue. And climate change activists wield a lot of power. This is an issue to pay attention to, as it has infiltrated every part of the federal government. Now, when I think of climate change, I immediately think of population control, don't you? I think about the people who don't want you to have children because of the impact on the environment. Perhaps not everyone will make that connection, but after spending time in the international space trying to protect life, I can tell you that this is part of their ultimate goal, to control people.
That's conservative activist and former Trump official Bethany Kozma in a newly released Project 2025 training video. For more, we go to Washington, D.C., where we're joined by Andy Kroll, investigative reporter for ProPublica, whose new expose is headlined Inside Project 2025 Secret Training Videos. ProPublica has posted the full 23 videos, totaling more than 14 hours of content, on its website. Andy, welcome back to Democracy Now! Explain how you got the videos and their significance as we go through some of them.
Yeah, the videos come from the Presidential Administration Academy, which is one of the main pillars of Project 2025. We've heard a lot about, you've talked about on this show, the extreme policy proposals that Project 2025 put out in its 900-page Mandate for Leadership document. What's gotten less attention, but is no less important to Project 2025's long-term goal here, is to train thousands of future political appointees so that if a conservative president, which of course now means if Donald Trump, a conservative candidate, wins in November and we have a Republican president, that there will be a bench of thousands of vetted and trained appointees who can go into the government and fill openings in that government, so that, as Project 2025 itself says on its website, that conservative administration can be ready from quote-unquote day one. Now, these videos were provided to us by a source who had access to them. I won't get into the sourcing on it, but with any kind of situation like this, the key things for us at ProPublica are these videos real? Are they authentic? And are they newsworthy? Obviously, the substance is newsworthy. In our reporting process, we talked to people who are in the videos. We verified them, authenticated them, and fact-checked them ourselves. And now we've published on them. And as you helpfully pointed out, also published all of these 23 videos totaling more than 14 hours on our website. Anyone watching today can go and watch them now.
Andy, if you can just give us some background again on...
So, this is actually very interesting. Obviously, I don't think that either side is fully just about the books, and this appears to be something that could be very, very, very bad. I how do I want to speak on this? I don't know. I think that this is interesting. I think that this could be some type of huge power play if Trump was to do the same thing that was done in Argentina. Is that an end-all be-all solution? No. No. Definitely not, because we know he's not someone who's just a through and throughout pure person, which no one in the world is. But is he someone who will completely look to be a dictator for the rest of his existence? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think America would even allow something like that to happen. We see with all types of acts similar to the one where they tried to take him out. People will orchestrate different things to be able to get that bigger person, and I don't think that's like a polite way of me speaking about it, and I probably shouldn't speak about that like in such an uneducated way, but I do think that in a situation like this we see there is a lot of power to be had. There's a lot of reasonings why people don't want to let up what they have, and I don't think the Republicans are just the greatest thing in the world either. We're almost literally in the position of picking between what is worse or what is the better of two evils, whatever that quote is, because I don't like that quote. But we're in a very toxic, interesting position right now, which leads me to this very creepy video. Let's get into it.
Was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures.
You can see this video was not filmed yesterday. It's one thing I want to point out. You can see right there, it says it was filmed in 1984. Let's get into it.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process.
Does this sound similar to the videos we just watched?
Which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to...
That's one thing that I thought was honorable about. So, at the end of the day, Trump and Joe Rogan had this little back and forth recently. The reason for it was because Joe was saying that we don't have to throw insults into our reasoning for someone not being fit for a certain position. It's not necessary, and that almost defeats and just handicaps everyone around it, because some people might agree, some people might disagree. It just divides, and it's a strategy that is very much not used in Russia from what I've seen. Of course, you could probably see it in some ways, and I feel like it's dealt with in such a different way. There's definitely people who get taken care of, and it's not a great way of being taken care of, if you know what I'm saying. It's you eat the wrong thing and it's night. But bizarre to see this was filmed in 84. What is it? 2024. This is 40 years ago. 40 years. And he's, what did he say? It takes 4 generations or 3 generations of people. It's not necessarily that amount of time yet, but it's almost close to it, if I'm not mistaken. That's a great game plan. They seem to have had a great understanding of how long this would take, and we're right on that hook. We're taking the bait.
True information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof.
One great quote that I actually have heard from Robert F. Kennedy is, "It's easier to trick a man than it is to tell a man he has been tricked," or replace tricked with fooled. It's harder to tell a man he's been fooled than it is to fool a man. And I think that that is a very wise thing to think about in the bigger picture. Of course it is. It's very much easier to fool someone into thinking that this Jordan is worth $7 million. Why? Because this guy will pay that. This guy will pay that. That guy will pay it. This person will pay it. And if it's any of those people or any of these influential characters that you like to watch stream or do any of these things that are on social media, then you might go buy it. It's a sad truth. It's the same thing with all types of businesses, and it is definitely a way people manipulate the masses, which is, it's not going to change. I don't think. It's capitalism in a modern version, but it's an interesting thing for them to be speaking on in this way.
With documents, with pictures. Even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will...
That's one thing I wanted to just take a pause quick. If anyone is not sure of what Stalin or of who Stalin is, go do some research. This man manipulated the people into doing some very, very harsh things to each other, and many other people before them, Genghis Khan, many people before Stalin, and all of these different interesting characters. Genghis Khan would go up to a new village that he wanted to take over. So let me just say this before I say that. Genghis Khan supposedly still has his DNA found in a large percentage of humans today, which is amazing. In my opinion, it's amazing. So I don't know how true that is, what percentage, put something right there. I think it's just amazing. It's something that I thought is I don't know. I'm very interested in all of those different conquerors and like the art of war and stuff. And Genghis Khan, the way he was able to manipulate people, he would go to these different tribes or villages, whatever it was called at that day and age, and he would give them an ultimatum, tell them you could either surrender or we're going to come in there and make you surrender. And even if they would surrender, they would just kill them faster, basically. He would torture them if they didn't surrender, which is just a great example of the cruelty of a human being. We all are cruel in some sort of way, and I think that it's all us trying to take out our anger and make reason for us to feel better about our own insecurities. We want to make someone else feel bad because of our hate for ourselves or whatever it is. That's why we see so much of this cat lady stuff, of people banding together with the cat lady stuff. It's just an easy way for everyone to be like, he came at us in such a wrong way that we now have to completely insult and completely belittle, completely go about it in such a wrong way. But to even start with, for him to say the cat lady thing was him trying to catch a headline. He was trying to get it seen by a lot more people. Everyone's doing all this weird shit just for a click. What am I doing right now? Kind of the same thing, so let's get more into it, I guess.
Understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems.
And that's one thing I really wanted to just shed a quick light on is, you guys see me eating weird shit like this. I don't want to eat that. Who wants to eat that? I want to go make myself a few burgers. I want to go make myself all types of weird shit and just stuff my face. But at this point, it's like, what is real? What is real? We're basically eating garbage because we're fed whatever is the cheapest and easiest thing to consume, because we're so quick to buy stuff based upon appeal of something that's not even part of what we're consuming. It's very weird. It's the same reason why you see with all of these different bags in the background, people want to buy things based upon what it's in, but the best is always just in something regular. So let's get into it.
And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world, that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last.
So, now do you see how it could be looked at as normalized to see riots, normalized to see all of these acts of protests for things that people that are actually at these protests aren't fully aware of why they disagree with it? There's so many different clips that we could play about that, so let's just get to the reasoning why I'm speaking about it. So many people are at these different protests just because it's almost a new popular, normal thing to do, which is scary, very scary. That's a crisis within itself, because people obviously are just there to either get attention, get a click, whatever it is. There's so many different people doing vlogs and even doing basically the same content, even doing the same reactions to some of these different clips that I've played throughout this video. And sometimes they're just picking apart ways that they can make fun of the different people, do all of these different ways to create more divide and crisis. And I hope that I'm not doing that here. I hope I've explained how most of these people just seem to be misguided. It seems to be them being caught up in this trap of what this gentleman's explaining right here. And I say he's a gentleman, but he's supposedly a KGB defector. I think that anyone probably is, even people in Russia, people in all of these different countries that are getting put in a bad light today. There's probably so many great people, and I think that there's probably so many great things about the worst people in the world. I think there's good in everyone, to an extent. I think there's some people who are just pushed into these weird positions, and very glad that this man was pushed into the position of him warning us, even though no one seems to have listened. So I hope someone's still listening to this.
Definitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninism.
So here's a theory that I have, and some people are going to very much disagree with me, but I think that Kamala is being placed in that position of what he's saying right there. He's saying basically that they'll be sacrificed. That's what I'm interpreting. He's saying they're going to be lined up against a wall. That's more of a Russia thing. Let's say it like that. But I think that the new modern lining you up against a wall is kind of just leaving you out to dry, or hanging you out there, just putting you in a position where you can be judged, where people can see all the the flaws that they disliked about you, but they're only going to highlight you in a way that kind of almost enhances that. It almost seems that they're using her as bait because it's a win-win. If she wins somehow, some Hail Mary way, they still are able to actually keep the power. With that said, they can also continue to kind of use her in a way. And I hate to speak on it like this because it's just so shameful that this is actually possible, that people could be using her in this way, but it seems apparent. It seems very much that she's someone who can be kind of pawned around, and that if that's in a highest position, if someone's able to be bought out, if they're able to make a certain decision over a certain amount of money, that could lead to very tragic situations, very tragic situations where it's scary, but it's also something that I think they look at that as they are able to control her enough where it's a win if she wins. It's dope if she wins, but if she loses, it doesn't really matter. It's not like they're losing, getting a big loss for someone like Gavin Newsom, or it's a big loss for any of these other not so well-liked people on the Democratic side. It doesn't seem like they really have another chance, so they're kind of just leaving her out there as bait. And I hate to say it like that, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me. It seems like she's put in this position just as like a last faith chance to potentially just risk it and see if they can save face, make themselves look good for even attempting to have a woman and have it someone of color, even though there's so many other people that probably fit the same role but can do a better job. Just they're not as easy to manipulate into making certain decisions because their motives are more pure and actually patriotic.
When they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster.
If this seems far-fetched to anyone, hear me out on this. What is the new strategy of warfare when it comes to trying to gain power in a political way? It's using memes, using streamers, using different things that are almost a psychological manipulation, because memes, if you're able to make someone laugh in a certain way, it might be able to form them to actually have an opinion against this certain thing that it's only just a joke, but it's something they really think is so funny that they are going to keep going with it. That obviously is more of a childish thing, but when we see people dressing up as cats and doing all that stuff and saying there's no reason but they have cats as their reason, it's just like it doesn't make a lot of logical sense. None of it makes sense. We're in a position that nothing makes sense, and it's just a state of mass delusion. It's very much hard to even piece together, and I'm not surprised that a lot of these different characters that have came before me have never really been able to piece it together great. I hope I'm doing all right at the moment, but it's just amazing to see. If anyone thinks that this isn't possible for them to have planned this and actually have tried to overcome us in this certain way, I would ask you to hear me out on this. If there is something that is much bigger than you, much stronger than you, what is your certain attempt on taking that competition out? As harsh as it is to say, if you can get it from the inside out, it's going to be somewhat of an easier task. If you're able to feed these ideas into the certain program and you're able to potentially have it go against itself and eat itself away, so it's a much easier target for you to run up on, it would be something that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense if you're going against something that's a superpower that has nuclear weapons and the different effective tools that a place like America has. We're definitely a place that has came to hold control of the world for a long, long time. Will it come to an end soon? It appears so. It does appear so. I'm sad to say that. It's not something I'm happy to say, but when we see people dividing themselves based upon what type of hole they like to stick it into, dividing themselves upon things that really don't apply to anything that really makes sense, whether or not you should like someone or not, it begins this cycle of nonsense. And I'm not gonna act like that's new. People have always disliked each other for the most odd of reasons, and I think that's one of the weirdest things about human beings is just judgment in general. I'm someone who judges a lot of different things. Humans, it's been something lately I try not to do. Judging humans based upon their flaws is only a great example of what I think of myself. If I think so little of myself to have the time to start picking apart different character traits or different unique expressions of dressing, then that's just the weirdest thing for someone to do. And humans are very much animals. We are things that like power. We're also things that like pleasure. We're things that realistically would find pleasure in all weird certain ways that some people might. Expedia members get member prices. Of course, it starts ruining that part right there, but I think humans find pleasure in all certain types of ways. What I mean by that is, as you can see, they are splitting hairs saying that people are going to try to take away the rights to be certain things. Maybe that's possible. I haven't done enough research on that. What I do know is it's something that all animals do. Humans are animals, and that's just the way of life. Humans are going to find pleasure in all types of weird ways. But one thing is very interesting is a lot of the collapses of all of these major empires. They started doing all types of profound things with the same genders and things that aren't going to actually lead to the production of more humans, which just leads to killing off humans. So, are we in that period? Are we in the period now of humans killing each other off because even the ones that are married aren't having children? Maybe. It's very interesting. I don't know. We are in a very interesting period of time where it's leading to so many questions, so many debates, so many unanswered questions, though. So many unanswered questions, and I'm not gonna hold you up too much longer. Much love and respect. I hope I answered something here. I don't know. This was definitely something that leaves me with more questions than I think I answered. But one video I'm gonna be working on is why do people hate Nancy Pelosi so much? I think that's gonna be a fun one.